And you also mentioned that the US Air Force Fighter Weapons School hired the F-14s to play as the Iranian F-14s. How did this play out, and was it with the A or B model?
That was the A model. I was in VF-32, and we had this was post the wall went down, and it was all of a sudden like there is no more Cold War, and the demands for carriers had lessened, and there was this big hue and cry for a peace dividend, and so our ship, the Kennedy, was all worked up. We were supposed to deploy, and they said not so fast, and that was summer of 1990, and so when you're not going to deploy, your parts priority goes way down. It's hard to keep your jets up, and they cut back on your flying hours because all the people deployed get all the money. So it was almost a depressing time. And one of our guys, ops officer, was looking for stuff for us to do because sometimes you can get the Air Force to pay to visit for all different things. And he found out the Air Force Fighter Weapons School was looking for Tomcats to simulate Iranians, and they didn't even want our tanks because Iranians don't carry tanks. They wanted us to perform just like the Iranians. They wanted to see what our radars stimulated them. That was the big thing, is electronically, because we found out they didn't really want to. We thought we were going to get some good fights, but they really didn't want to fight us close in. They wanted to do the BVR. They're big believers, and it played out in Desert Storm less than a year later, that they know how to run a BVR fight and do their timelines, and that they were all about their timelines, and all we wanted to do was fight, and so they're like, hey, let's not even do radar missiles, let's just get in and fight. But they were less interested in that. That was the only disappointment. They paid our whole way. They paid for us to come. They put us in a hotel with a casino, which was great for the troops. They gave us rental cars. It was great. And then Kuwait got invaded while we were there, but we got some good fights in.
How did the F-14A compare against the F-15?
I learned more of this later. They were very quiet, and they didn't even fully debrief with us at Nellis. They'd send one guy to our debrief, and he would tell us what they saw. We would tell him what we did. These were students and instructors fighting us, so they had to do their timelines, and they had to debrief their timelines. So they did that within themselves. I found out later, after Desert Storm, I became the air-to-air missile requirements officer, so I had full insight into what they had in their airplanes and what missiles were out there, what missiles were coming. And so I saw they really had an optimized, they kept saying they had an optimized system, and they did. They views air superiority as a primary mission, and they invest in that. And everything was harmonized from their, non-cooperative target recognition, NICTR, as they call it. Everything they had in there, and they wrote their ROE. That kind of was we were miffed about that because we didn't have all the systems they had, and they kept saying, "Well, you have to have two independent systems," and we only had one. Hornets only had one, different than us, so that kind of cut us out from any BVR shots. But I can tell you, going in and out of Iraq was like rush hour, and there was a couple times I know I locked up a F-117 because I only locked it up. I had it. I was in a hot mode going in at night, and they told us what lanes, what altitudes to avoid, and right in that altitude band, all of a sudden the radar locked somebody up really close. I hit our IFF interrogator, came back as a friend, so I broke the lock, and this dark thing went over us.